the United Kingdom's Labour government has launched mass crackdown on Indians working illegally on restaurants in the country. Described as a UK-wide blitz, the crackdown has extended to Indian restaurants, nail bars, convenience stores and car washes, which employ Indian migrant workers. Ms. Cooper's office said that while its teams respond to illegal working intelligence in all sectors, a significant proportion of last month's activity took place at Indian restaurants. A visit to one Indian restaurant in Humberside, Northern England, alone led to 7 arrests and 4 detentions, it noted. With a rapid surge of Reform UK in the polls, Prime Minister Keir Starmer is under pressure to prove his government is tough on illegal immigration. It is using bespoke charter flights to remove immigration offenders to countries around the world, including 4 of the biggest migrant returns flights in the UK's history, carrying more than 800 people. Before we continue, if you've not already, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for upcoming updates. In recent weeks, the United Kingdom's Labour government has embarked on a significant crackdown targeting illegal employment among Indian migrant workers across various sectors. This initiative, branded as a UK-wide blitz, has particularly focused on Indian restaurants, nail bars, convenience stores and car washes, all of which are known to employ a substantial number of Indian migrants. The government's aggressive stance comes at a time when public sentiment regarding immigration is increasingly charged, especially with the rising popularity of the Reform UK party, which has heightened pressure on Prime Minister Keir Starmer to demonstrate a tough approach to illegal immigration. The crackdown has been framed as a necessary response to illegal working, with Home Secretary Yvette Cooper's office emphasising that while enforcement teams are acting on intelligence across all sectors, a notable portion of recent inspections has centred around the Indian food industry. This focus has raised alarms among community advocates, who argue that such targeted actions could lead to wider implications for immigrant communities, particularly those from India, who have contributed significantly to the UK's cultural and economic landscape. One striking example of the crackdown's impact was observed during a raid on an Indian restaurant in Humberside, Northern England. This operation resulted in 7 arrests and 4 detentions, highlighting the scale and intensity of the government's enforcement actions. Such incidents not only underscore the government's commitment to addressing illegal working, but also raise critical questions about the treatment of migrant workers and the broader implications of these policies on the communities involved. As the Labour government intensifies its efforts, the rationale behind this crackdown reflects a larger political calculus. The rise of Reform UK, which has gained traction in opinion polls, signals a growing public concern over immigration and border control. In this context, Starmer's administration faces the challenge of balancing the party's traditional values of inclusivity and support for migrant communities with the need to respond to increasing calls for stricter immigration measures. The political landscape has shifted, and the Labour Party finds itself navigating a complex terrain where the stakes are high, not just for its electoral prospects, but also for the lives of those affected by these policies. The government's strategy includes the use of bespoke charter flights to deport immigration offenders to various countries around the world. This tactic, which has seen the execution of several large-scale deportation flights carrying over 800 individuals, raises ethical and logistical questions. Critics argue that these measures often disproportionately affect vulnerable populations who may already be facing significant challenges, including economic hardship and social isolation. The focus on Indian restaurants and related businesses is particularly concerning for many within the Indian community. For decades, Indian cuisine has been an integral part of the UK's culinary landscape, with countless restaurants, takeaways and cafes thriving across the country. These establishments not only provide employment opportunities, but also serve as cultural hubs where communities come together. The perception that the government is targeting these businesses can create a chilling effect, deterring legitimate workers and impacting the livelihoods of many who rely on these jobs. Moreover, the implementation of such crackdowns often leads to a climate of fear among migrant workers. Individuals who may be living and working in the UK without proper documentation often find themselves in precarious situations, fearful of seeking assistance or reporting abuses due to the threat of deportation. This fear can perpetuate exploitation, as workers may be reluctant to speak out against poor working conditions or unfair treatment. The government's current approach also raises questions about the effectiveness of such policies in addressing the root causes of illegal working. Many migrants, including those from India, come to the UK seeking better opportunities and a chance to build a stable life for themselves and their families. The decision to work illegally often stems from a lack of viable options, including barriers to obtaining work visas, language difficulties, and discrimination in the job market. A crackdown that focuses solely on punitive measures fails to address these underlying issues and may push vulnerable populations further into the shadows. As the Labour government pushes forward with its crackdown, it must consider the broader implications of its actions. A comprehensive immigration policy should not only focus on enforcement, but also strive to create pathways for legal employment and support for migrant communities. This includes addressing the bureaucratic hurdles that many face when attempting to navigate the immigration system and ensuring that workers' rights are protected, regardless of their immigration status. Public opinion on immigration is often polarised, with some segments of society calling for stricter controls, while others advocate for a more compassionate approach. The government's actions will inevitably be scrutinised, and the potential fallout from these policies could resonate beyond the immediate impact on those being targeted. The Labour Party, historically seen as a champion for workers' rights and social justice, risks alienating its base if it does not adequately address the concerns of migrant communities and advocate for humane immigration practices. Furthermore, as the political landscape evolves, it is crucial for Labour to engage in meaningful dialogue about its immigration policies. The party has an opportunity to redefine its stance, drawing on its historical commitment to equality and social justice. By taking a holistic approach to immigration that prioritises human rights and the well-being of all workers, Labour can work towards rebuilding trust with its constituents and reaffirming its role as a progressive force in British politics. In conclusion, the UK government's crackdown on illegal working among Indian migrant workers represents a critical intersection of immigration policy, political manoeuvring, and social justice. As the Labour Party grapples with the complexities of this issue, it must navigate a fine line between responding to public sentiment and upholding its foundational values. The outcomes of these policies will have lasting ramifications not only for those directly impacted, but also for the character and integrity of the Labour Party itself. A commitment to a fair and just immigration system is essential, as it reflects the broader values of a society that prides itself on inclusivity and compassion. The path forward requires thoughtful consideration, empathy, and a willingness to engage with the lived experiences of those who contribute to the fabric of the nation.